What does it need to master the future? I think to have a platform where all stakeholders of global society are engaged.
What does that mean? What do these words mean? Joining me now, my friend, the great Lee Smith, author of the book, The Permanent Coup. Lee, let's actually begin right there. For so many people who are just getting into this stuff and they're waking up to this evil thing going on around them and they don't really understand what it is, they can't put it into words. Would you please describe what exactly these people are talking about when they always talk about mastering the future and stakeholders? What's a stakeholder?
Jesse, I got to tell you, whenever I see Klaus Schwab, it always occurs to me that he'd be more understandable if he was a maitre d' at an upscale, Nazi-themed fondue restaurant, because that's how seriously I think people should be taking Klaus Schwab. These are lunatics, and I think it's important to understand what the World Economic Forum is really about. And I think it's basically an upscale think tank that is collecting money. The real problem I think that we have as Americans is the people who are now in charge of our federal government.
Can you make that connection? Because that was actually going to be the next thing I asked you. World Economic Forum. Okay, we hear about these meetings in Switzerland and World Economic Forum and stakeholders, but then we talk about our own corrupt system and our own, late stage republic. And what's the connection there? What's our people's connection with these people?
I think actually, frankly, at this point, I think the World Economic Forum has become something like a cover for a U.S.-China consortium, right? I mean, a lot of this stuff, the World Economic Forum, I mean, their center of power is in Europe. It's been going on for more than half a century now. Klaus Schwab founded it. He's in charge of it. But remember, he's also a protege of Henry Kissinger. The way that I see the World Economic Forum is that the real power behind it, and if you look at the money that goes to the World Economic Forum, a lot of this money is American money, right? I think that what they're doing is, I think our own global elites here in the United States are using the World Economic Forum in some ways to legitimize their own program here in the United States and their ambitions abroad. Look, I think it's absolutely correct that you and I, we look at the United States and we say it's crazy. The United States isn't crazy. Our leaders are crazy. Everything they're doing, whether it's from a woke military to open borders, it's absolutely nuts. But the globalists still perceive and understand the United States to be a powerful empire with lots of resources and lots of money. So I think that's what the World Economic Forum actually is. It's an instrument for our global elites to project power, certainly in Europe, and again to be able to make certain connections with the Chinese that would be untenable if it were happening. Under other circumstances.
What connections with the Chinese? To what end? Why do we want connections with the Chinese?
Because the United States, well, first of all, the big thing is the corporate and political elites see China as an enormous asset. I mean, this is the source of their wealth, their power, and their prestige, and this has been going on for decades. So the relationship with China is their center of gravity, right? If you look at Wall Street, if you look at Hollywood, if you look at the university system, if you look at big tech, these things do not have the power and certainly not the money without without offshoring a whole bunch of resources to China, without a large Chinese market. That's how Hollywood perceives it. So China is extremely important for our elite. And that's why I say when people are looking, when a Republican-led Congress is looking to target China, looking to push back hard on China, I think that's great. However, the big problem is there is an enormous wall between pro-America Americans and the Chinese Communist Party, and that's American elites. That's our fundamental problem. While China is our strategic threat, our main strategic threat, the fact is they are partnered with key members of the American establishment.
Support the First TV today and get instant access to exclusive specials like Who is Ron DeSantis, the history of FBI scandals, and America's worst presidents. Visit thefirsttv.com/support or download the First TV app to become a supporter and start watching today.